Hey, welcome back to another YouTube video. So this is a live match recording held recently at MAP Marston Fields Fishery. So the actual match itself, it was to raise funds for the brain tumour charity, and we managed to raise with a raffle right at the beginning. You saw a picture and the donations from everybody. We managed to raise £460 to charity. So well done. Thank you to everybody who donated and took part. Also, thanks to MAP Marston Fields Fishery for actually hosting and putting on the event. So well done, guys. If you haven't fished here before, get yourselves down and give it a go. Absolutely brilliant. Lots of work's being done, and it's really developing now, and it's a great place. So, like I say, get yourself down there and have a fish. So let's get into the match. Okay, so we just had the all in. So I actually drew peg 25 on one of the new lakes, Pine. Just opened, and I believe we were the first first people to be fishing this lake. So I felt like the way to go would have been 6mm hard pellets. Lots of new fish have been put in. I felt like they would come to the noise, so I was throwing 6mm hard pellets, fishing a top kit plus 2 sections with a 6mm on a banded hook, fishing a size 16 hook, and I think I had 4 foot 2 inches in depth like I say, top kit plus 2 sections. So throwing them in, I felt like they would come to the noise, but it took a little bit of time to get it going. I mean, sometimes you can get the carp going really quick, but the angler on my right was catching on the off. Literally within 5 minutes, I think he'd already had his first carp. We're now 20 minutes in, and I hadn't even had a bite. I think the angler on my left had also had a carp, or certainly he'd had a couple of indications. I might have lost one, not sure. And angler 2 down had already caught as well. So I was well behind. Angler on my right, after 20 minutes, had already had 8 carp. So that's how quick and fast this session had to be. And there we go, first bite, first fish. So we get this one in. Like I say, as I'm landing this, just, like I drew Pine. Pine, as you can tell, it's a new lake, just been dug out, and, well, it hasn't been dug out, it's been dug out for a while, but it's been redesigned, I should say. A little bit of planting will go on that far bank, I'm sure, but, again, like I say, a couple of new lakes. If you've not been to MAP Marston Fields, you want to get down there, it is getting really good. I love it. So, net that one, that's our first fish. So, bearing in mind, 20 minutes in, first fish, angle on my right has already had 8. So, I got a lot of catching up to do. So, I felt like I just needed to do something here. I thought, well, if I carry on with the pellets, they'll probably come on it. I'm sure they'll come and settle. So, I decided to give it another, I think it was about another 10 minutes before I start to make some changes. So, throwing out some more 6mm. As you can hear, the wind was picking up here as well. It was getting quite cold, and the day sort of went where it was windy 1 minute, then there was no wind at all, and the sun come out lovely and warm, then it went cold again. So it's one of those funny days. We are in the middle of October at the moment, so I guess you expect the weather to be up and down. So as I say, just carried on throwing those 6mm in, but like I say, it wasn't really working, so I decided to swap to maggots. And started throwing in maggots, and I came closer. I came in a top kit plus 1 section, so I left that extra section on there. I always leave an extra section on when I'm fishing short, purely because I find it easier to, well there's 2 reasons. One, if the carp decides to shoot out in the middle of a lake, you can push out a little bit with that section, but also when you ship back, you can put it onto your roller much easier. So there we go, first bite, and that probably only took 3-4 minutes on the maggot. I had 3 maggots on the hook, and I was throwing the red maggots in. So now I only brought 1.5 pints of maggots with me, and I felt at this point, if this is how quick it was going to be catching them, I'm going to run out of bait. But we did okay in the end. 1.5 pints just about lasted us. So we get that one in. There we go. So put them in the net. So 3 nets today, equally spread across all 3 nets. So put that on the counter. I think I put £3 on that one then. again, 3 maggots on the hook. Ship out. So, fishing really close today. I was actually quite surprised that they're in so close, so early in the session. But even so, I felt like at this point I needed to do something. I felt like I needed to draw the carp in much quicker. It was taking too long to get the bites. So again, even though that was only, what, probably 30 seconds, I needed to be catching them. Definitely on every 30 seconds, but sometimes it was taking 2-3 minutes to get a bite. And based on what I was seeing across the lake, I definitely needed to catch them quicker than this. So at this point, I was starting to think, what can I do? And I'd already made some ground bait up. So what was going through my mind here was that I needed to probably pot some ground bait in to draw them in. But I think we carried on, just throwing them in for a little while longer. So got that one in the net. Like I say, we're just spreading the carp across 3 nets here. So the weather just kept changing. 1 minute the sun was out, then it came cloudy, and you can see my hood is now up, and it actually went quite cold. So, but at this point, I think it was probably about 5 minutes after that last carp, and I had to change something. So potting cuff out, and I had some Super Crush expander made up. I'd made 3 pints of ground bait up beginning for this reason, in case I needed it, and just potting that in. So it was a full pot there, one of the large pots, filled it with ground bait and a handful of maggots on the top. Potting that in, and like I say, I just felt like something had to happen to draw those carp into my swim. So I also decided at this point I was going to just change my hook bait slightly. So instead of having 3 maggots on, I put 4 maggots on. Now, more often than not, you think that's not going to make any difference, but I just felt like the carp needed that standout bait. And I know I'm putting maggots in and I'm fishing maggots, but I just wanted that bigger bunch to stand out. So 4 maggots on the hook this time to see if I could get the bites much quicker than I was getting before. So we just put the ground bait in. And I'm just there fishing over the top of that ground bait. And there we go, bite straight away. Now I wasn't counting that, but that was no more than 15-20 seconds I think at the most, and we got that bite. Putting in that big pot of ground bait with some maggots and putting 4 maggots on the hook just seemed to, for me, it just had the right feel. It just pulled that carp in straight away. And I'm sure there's another one there sitting, waiting to be caught. So we get this one out. I think this one was around the 3 pound mark. Pop them in the net. There we go. 1, 2, 3 on the counter. So yeah, it was about 3 pounds. So again, we're just going to now repeat this process. I feel like we had a way of how to catch these fish. 4 maggots on the hook, throwing in some red maggots, and then what I was doing, I started putting in the ground bait probably about every 10 minutes or whenever I felt like the swim needed it, if they were sort of backed off again and I just needed to pull them in. So that was the plan for the rest of the day, and I wasn't going to come off this line unless I really had to. There we go, the weather's just changed again, so hood down, it's gotten a little bit warm again. So what I was finding throughout the matches, whenever I was throwing in the maggots, that would sometimes just trigger that bite, or as the maggots were just falling halfway as they was getting down through the layers, the bite would come, which is how it went for most of the match. So as you'll see right now, there you go, those maggots had only gone down probably 2 foot, and I'm fishing 4 foot 2 inches, so halfway down, and I got the bite. So in terms of my rig setup today, I had a 13 to 15 hollow elastic on, so I've been trialling this one all summer. I've been set it on a few videos now. It's the one from the SRG range. I've not found a problem at all. It just powers up really well, and I've had no issues with it. I also use it for margin fishing as well, and I've also got the elastics ready for the winter for those lighter lines. But all year, all summer, I've been trialing this elastic SRG range. You can elasticate 2 top kits for half the price of a main brand out there. So give it a go, have a look at it. There we go, another carp. So like I say, 13, 15 hollow elastic. In terms of the main rig, I had a 0.19mm diameter main line going down to a 4x14 float, and down to a 0.16mm diameter and a size 14 on the hook. Shotting pattern, I did start off with a strung out shotting pattern, but that wasn't really working. I wanted to get the rig down much quicker, so I did bulk up my shots, and I think that was helping getting the bites much quicker as well. So bulk shotting pattern certainly has helped. That also, well, another reason why I swapped my shotting pattern is because I did foul hook a couple of fish earlier in the match, and when I did the bulk shotting pattern, it did stop those foul fish, and I was also getting the bites quicker. So we carried on with this, but after a while, this was it did get quite strange. And I think I do catch another fish in a minute, but it did start to slow down on this line. I think we're now around sort of the mid-afternoon sort of mark when it can go a bit quieter and lines can go a bit funny. So I think what happened now, I was starting to think about what other line I could fish. I did see some carp surface. They've surfacing throughout the day on the far bank. Maybe a pellet waggler could have caught a few more, but what I decided after this fish, I got my shallow kit out and started to fish shallow. So we unhook this fish, get him in the net, then we swap over to a shallow line. Like I say, we saw quite a few carp surfacing earlier in the session, or pretty much throughout really, on sort of 3/4 bar bank mark. So I decided to carry on feeding just maggots on this short line. But I do want to just give it a rest and just leave it for a little while as well. So I threw some maggots in, but I wasn't feeding as often while I was out on this short line. So just catapulted some 6mm pellets out there, see if we get some noise, bring them in. So just slapping this in. Slap it in 3 times. My plan here was just to give this sort of 15 minutes, just while I'm resting that short line, and see if the fish had actually moved out and come shallow. Because like I say, the bites started to dry up a little bit on that short line. Bites weren't coming as quick as before, so felt like the fish had moved somewhere else and I needed to go and find them. So I always find when I'm shallow fishing like this, you either need to prime it for a little while before, or if you don't prime it, you can go straight out on it and they'll just be there and catch straight away for sort of 5-10 minutes. But unfortunately that just didn't happen. I hadn't primed this line. I just wanted to go out, see if they were there, and give it, like I say, about 15 minutes, and that's all I did. I didn't get any indications at all, didn't see any fish move on that line while I was fishing it. So decided that I wasn't going to waste any more time. It might have already cost me going out on this line, but I thought I'd give it a go, 15 minutes, and then back in on the short line. And it didn't take long. We carried on throwing in those maggots while I was on that fishing shallow line out at about, I think I was fishing about 10 metres. Literally come back in and we get a bite almost instantly. So I think I might have wasted myself 15 minutes there, which could have been easily probably 4 or 5 fish. But sometimes you have to make these decisions, and if you make a mistake, you just look back and just sort of realise that I had feeding fish. And yes, it went quiet for a few minutes, but I was too quick to go out on that shallow line. So, lesson learned. But back in on the short line, and we start catching again. So it's been a while since I last put in a big pot of ground bait, so filling that up. Again, another handful of maggots on the top. Put it in, find my file band marker and just pop that in. So what I was also doing, occasionally I would actually fish off that feed. So I did get a couple of foul hook fish earlier in the session, so to prevent that, there was a couple of things I'd done actually throughout the day. I was either fishing off the feed, either just to the side or just at the back of it, and I also did bulk my shots as well. So my shotting pattern, so I had a bulk shotting pattern to help with those foul hookers, and it did. It definitely reduced the amount I was catching or foul hooking. In fact, after I changed my shotting pattern and started fishing off that feed, I didn't foul hook another fish. So, again, another fish, another carp. Not a big one this time, but another probably £2. The looks of it. So get him in the net. There we go, another carp. We're going to get him in the net. So this session all started off with feeding 6mm pellets and realising within 30 minutes that wasn't working, and then I swapped to feeding and fishing with maggots. Fishing short and started catching fish quite regular, quite frequent throughout the day. So I only got about 4 or 5 minutes left of this match, and I did catch one more before the all out. So I ended up with 161 pounds, 15 ounce to be more exact, and coming second. The first got 212 pounds, so well done to the winner. But yeah, 161 pounds, I was happy with that. It was a personal best. So guys, if you've liked this video, if you've learned something new, please do leave a comment on the end of this video. It'd be really, really helpful. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and give it a like. But until next time, tight lines, and I'll see you on the next one.